I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. I want to show you some Democratic firepower in the House of Representatives, just utterly exposing this MAGA Republican nonsense for what it really is. Let's start by showing you this clip from a hearing that MAGA Republicans held on appliances and spreading conspiracies about President Biden's regulations, trying to prohibit gas stoves. They're doing the gas stove hearing again. But here is Democratic superstar Jared Moskowitz, friend of the MeidasTouch show, talking about what the most important issues truly should be that we should be focusing on here in the United States of America. Play this clip.
Let me tell you something. Here's the score. Gun violence hearings in the 118th Congress, 0. Gas stoves, 3. That's all you need to know about what's happening in the 118th Congress. I yield back.
Chair now recognizes our good friend from Kentucky, Chairman Comer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your leadership on this issue. And I have to respond to the gun violence. What good does it do to have gun laws on the books when you waive gun penalties for privileged white children of high elected public officials?
We yield?
I'll yield.
Mr. Chairman, there were 17 people killed at my high school in my neighborhood. And so let's not make gun violence.
I'm not making gun. I yield my time back. You asked a credible question. You're not serious. So
I want to now show you a clip same day. This is from Democratic Congress member Eric Swalwell from California. And here, Congressman Eric Swalwell at this Judiciary Subcommittee hearing is calling out Jim Jordan's staff for taking non-consensual photographs of minors who are not asking to be photographed. And Eric Swalwell calls it weird and creepy, an invasion of privacy, and something that is typical of MAGA Republicans. Play this clip.
The Judiciary Committee has oversight jurisdiction over a single agency at Health and Human Services, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And the purpose of this agency is to provide immigrants with humanitarian resources when they enter our border. Nowhere is this more important than with children, especially those unaccompanied by a parent or a guardian. Assistant Secretary Igorin, isn't it true that Chairman Jordan demanded access to files about unaccompanied minors as part of his requests?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. We do have requests regarding the Office of Refugee Resettlement.
Including unaccompanied minors?
Including document requests related to the Office of Refugee Resettlement, yes.
And due to legitimate privacy concerns, because we're talking about children, you offered to provide Chairman Jordan with a in-camera review. Is that right?
That is correct. We provided 1,200 pages of information for in-camera review, which the staff were able to review.
And in-camera means that it's not public, they have access to the documents. Is that right?
That is correct.
You even asked them, because of the nature of what they were looking at and the privacy of minors, to not take any pictures or to publish anything of what they were looking at. Is that right?
Congressman, it is common practice that because of the sensitive nature of these documents and the in-camera review process, that pictures are not taken and that they are handled in a highly sensitive manner, yes.
Were pictures taken during that in-camera review by Chairman Jordan's staff?
It is my understanding that pictures were taken, and that is an unfortunate outcome.
It's worse than an unfortunate outcome. It's violating the privacy of minors. And Assistant Secretary, were parts of those documents that you showed Chairman Jordan's staff published?
Congressman, it is my understanding that parts of those documents were in the report produced by the majority.
Again, this goes to a theme that we're seeing here. We talked about this last week with Hunter Biden's laptop. You violate an individual's privacy. You take non-consensual pictures from that laptop. You use it to weaponize a case against your political opponent. Here, we're talking about minors, and you're asked not to take pictures of information regarding minors. You take the pictures and you put them out to the public. Again, that's weird. I don't know why you would do that. It's also just creepy and it's wrong, and kids have their privacy violated to make a political point.
Here is Democratic Congress member and superstar from Texas, Jasmine Crockett. And here she calls out MAGA Republican Anna Paulina Luna, whatever her name is, if it changes her name every day, for just sinking to new lows. Play this clip.
Are you aware that China does not like the United States and that has engaged in espionage activities against the United States?
I don't have any personal professional knowledge of that.
Okay, well, I suggest you read Breitbart.
It never ceases to amaze me what will come out of some of my colleagues' mouths. So it was suggested that you should read Breitbart, and I couldn't let it go. And so just for the general public, because I don't want anybody to believe that that's a good idea, I just got on Google, which if you have a cell phone, we can all do that. Breitbart News Network is an American far-right syndicated news, opinion, and commentary website founded mid-2007 by American conservative commentator Andrew Breitbart. Breitbart News content has been described as misogynistic, xenophobic, and racist by academics and journalists. So I don't know that that's where I want anybody to take their cues from, especially when they're trying to run this country. That part.
Of course, when we're talking about Democratic firepower, here is AOC talking about the importance of DACA recipients and how patriotic these individuals are. Play this clip.
I do not know a group of people that oftentimes are more patriotic to this country than DACA recipients. They give and they give and they give to a country that does not love them back in their actions. Yet 74% of Americans, Republican and Democrat, believe in a path to citizenship for DACA recipients, for children who were brought here and made this place their home. These DACA recipients are emblematic of the American dream. They are America's proof of concept. And to strip and undermine that is to undermine ourselves in this institution. If there's any individual that believes in stripping Medicaid from DACA recipients, I would like to know if they are willing to give the $6.6 billion that DACA recipients pay in federal taxes back to them. Are we willing to refund the $3.3 billion in state and local taxes that they pay back to them so that they can afford their own health care? This shouldn't even be a question right now. And with that, I yield back.
And AOC points out that DACA recipients pay more for members of Congress's health care than billion-dollar, trillion-dollar corporations. Here, play this clip.
They serve in our healthcare systems. They serve our elderly. They are nursing home workers. And we're having a hearing today as to why people who are American, they are American, do not deserve health care. They're here lawfully. They pay more taxes than Facebook does. They pay more taxes than many of our federal corporations do. They pay for, DACA recipients pay for members of Congress's health care more than Facebook does. And we are sitting here having a hearing and saying we're going to return that favor by stripping them of their ability to engage in Medicaid when they are the ones that are changing our grandparents' sheets in a nursing home. I cannot believe this. The idea that this would somehow act as an incentive when any DACA eligibility ended in 2007, over a dozen years ago, is laughable. And as is, I believe, the premise that the American healthcare system is somehow some boon for working class people and the best in the world. What in the American exceptionalism is going on here?
And here is Democratic Congressmember Nanette Barragan from California on the House floor. Play the clip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise as chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus in opposition to H.R. 3941, which is what I call the anti-student, anti-family, anti-immigrant act. This bill is another attempt by Republicans to dehumanize migrants under the excuse of student safety. Give me a break. First, this bill does nothing to protect our students. In fact, it does the opposite. It cuts funding for schools that dare to provide shelter for those who escape oppression and seek protection in our country, even if the school is empty or closed down with no students. Republicans claim they are the party that protects children. But they are the same party that's directing Texas state troopers to push migrant children back into the Rio Grande River to drown. They should be ashamed. I urge my colleagues to oppose this anti-student and anti-immigrant proposal. I yield back.
Compare that with the nonsense being spewed by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene says the most anti-American moment in her time in Congress, not the insurrection. She says it was when a fence was put around the Capitol building after the insurrection. Play the clip.
It was said on this committee earlier that the border wall was an anti-American movement. That was said by a Democrat member earlier, and I think that is an egregious thing to say. The border wall was, being built to protect our country, protect our border, help our Border Patrol agents. I think the most anti-American moment in this country was when a giant fence was erected around the Capitol and left there for months, and our U.S. military was brought in and forced to sleep on the floor in parking garages for months at a time. I think that's an anti-American moment.
I'm often told Democrats need to work on their messaging. Look, they could always get better at their messaging. But what I want to reflect on collectively, though, is these are some pretty good messengers. These are Democrats punching back, spreading the truth. It's good to see. It's why we want to highlight that here on the MeidasTouch Network. It's good for our democracy when these MAGA Republicans are being called out. So I am proud to share that with you. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have an excellent day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.